And joining us on the line, it is great to welcome to Flow, Fred James Koch. G'day, Fred. How you doing today, buddy?
Good, mate. Good, Clayton. Thanks so much for having me on, mate.
It is great to be chatting to you. Love your song. The song's called I'm Runnin'. We're going to get to hear that shortly, folks. And what I especially love about the song, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think I am, but it's got this bass-driven groove that I think if you took that out of the song, it wouldn't have the feel and the vibe and the intent that it's got. That bass-driven groove, that to me makes your song, and it makes you want to hit rewind and start listening to it again.
Yeah, man. Thank you. That's a really great compliment. All the elements of that track, we're really, really proud of. I co-wrote it with one of my really, really close friends and partners in crime when we write a lot of stuff, AZ Sheriff. And you're right, that bass line is beautiful. He came up with that with me while we were doing it. But yeah, it's a beautiful track. Like I'm really am very proud of it, and it has a very almost a very synth backline to it as well, right? So it's got it's a really, really nice track to. When we designed it, we really wanted to have that sort of cinematic line to it, as well as something that would sort of really be very radio friendly in that sense. That people could just sort of listen to and love,
Yeah, well, it certainly is very great to listen to. It's enjoyable, and that bass-driven groove, that just gets you in, and it just keeps you right with the whole song. And it's interesting that you said cinematic, because it's also in it's the theme to a movie that you're in as well.
yeah, it's kind of crazy how that all came together, actually. The film was actually we shot that in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, as well as in Marrakesh and Casablanca in Morocco, and it was just an amazing opportunity for me to really, because the actual role became an opportunity before the actual song did, which is a bit strange. But that was it. The whole thing came from my parents coming to visit me on set. Like they
Really?
came over and visited. Yeah, my dad is actually a musician as well, and he came. Very, very fast friends with the director, and they had a good chat, and he was sort of telling him, "Wow, man, this is a beautiful story about this American guy falling in love with this Arabic woman, and wow, man, I can't wait to hear the music to this beautiful story. Like, this is going to be amazing." Yep. And he's like, "Oh, well, I haven't." He's Moroccan. He's like, "I haven't really thought about so much about the music yet. I have a couple of ideas." He's like, "Oh, but you must have a really great theme song, though, right?" And I'm not sure if Dad was strategically placing that or not. But at the end of that sort of hangout, he was like, "No, you know what? If you have a couple of ideas, I would love to hear them."
Wow.
so yeah, Dad basically met up with me afterwards after a hard day of shooting in one of the Moroccan prisons that we were shooting there in.
Yep.
And he was like, did you want to write the song for the movie? So that's where that kind of was birthed, which is so random, because it was even the idea of that was still going to possibly be like Dad singing that song as opposed to me. It just came out in the wash that when AZ and I wrote it, when we got down to writing it, I had to write the guide track for it, which basically is like, those in the industry know that it's sort of like when the writers get to the song, it's sort of like they have the tone they want to hit, and at least they give that to the person that ultimately is going to be singing the song, right? And what happened was, when everybody heard my vocal on the track, they were sort of like, "Wait a minute, what? That's you? Oh,
wow!
So you are actually a singer? You can." And then I think Dad just sort of very quietly, he's not somebody that's generally very biased with this stuff. He's very, very objective when it comes to stuff. He sort of just was very quiet and said, "Son, I think this is your song." So that kind of, it sort of, it burst itself from there. And it was such an amazing opportunity. Really it was. And I think I'm sure when you listen to it, when our listeners listen to it, they'll agree. There's a lot of darkness in that song, but at the same time, it's all about this guy trying to find where he needs to go to run to the light, to look forward to that. And I think it's kind of, if I'm to be frank, I don't think I was writing it for these times, but it feels very much about that,
It felt like to me like you were running to someone to get you out of to guide you from where the situation you're in. That's how it felt to me. That it was, you're running towards them because they're your guide. Your guide to get you on the right path that you need to be. But that was just sort of my take on it. But I'm looking at I'm just looking. Where's your dad's credit? I don't see him in the songwriters as one of the. Shouldn't he be one of the songwriters in this? Come on, come on.
Well, no, he was ultimately on this one. He basically because of my writing skill set, I guess, he sort of gave that to me and said, look, you know the story more than anybody else does. You're one of the actors. That's why I think you should write it. That was the beginning pitch, I think, for why I should do it. And ultimately, it became something that AZ and I just sort of, wrote out. And I think it was maybe about 3 or 4 days. We just we sat there in his studio and just wrote and came up with all of these different concepts that were foreign but familiar to every sort of love story about, when that love story finishes, it's that absence of those moments that were there, that were shared, and those shadows that are still sort of lingering in the experiences that you have currently, right now, that keep that pain there and keep you in this sort of area of not knowing where you are, but you've got to really sort of push through that to get past it, to find the next moment, the next beautiful moments that are waiting for you.
So this film, was this your first film that you sort of were acting in?
No. This is probably about my 4th or 5th film, I think.
Okay.
So I'm really proud of it. This is one of the first times that I've actually got to do a film where it was sort of. So I've done other films nationally and acted with different amazing actors such as Sir Ben Kingsley.
Oh, Sir Ben, okay, yeah.
One of On a Common Man, which was great, and I did my own stunts in that film, which I think I'm not sure if my back is too happy about these days. I've had some great opportunities, and shooting this one, Mickey Rourke was on this film as well, so that was great to meet and work with him. I've had some great opportunities so far, but I think there's something about this film that really. Not so much more than the rest of the films, but I felt like I could put my own little stamp on as far as an actor. And then when you get to do something, which is a song, I think for those artists out there that sort of have know that difference. There's so much of a difference on an ensemble production where it's like, you're working in a film where you do something, you do 8 takes of something, and then the director and the editor choose something that you've done, that they pick and choose what they like.
Yeah.
Whereas with a song, there's something just so personal about that ultimately when you release that, you know what that feels, it's got every nuance that you wanted to give people out there. That feeling, the feeling that you get, and they apply their filters to it and make it what it is, or they make meaning to it and what they bring to it. But ultimately, sonically, what's out there is yours, to share, which is great. It's a great feeling. So the whole project in that sense was just, it really was. It was such a blessing. And whenever I talk about it, I can't help but glow a little bit because I really am proud of it.
As you should be, Fred, as you should be. And we should point out the film is called Night Walk. And yes, and it does star Mickey Rourke and Eric Roberts in the film, along with yourself and that. And so, the Night Walk. Now, I'm just sort of wondering, so you've written the theme song for this movie. Has this opened up that door to write, theme songs for other movies and other projects and that? Because to me, it seems, based on this song, surely that door must be open wide now.
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you say that. One of the films that I'm working on right now, actually, it's called Dubai Cash. It's produced by Alexander Media, and it's a film basically about 2 brothers, and one of them is like the sort of it's almost like a comedy, somewhat very much a musical in the sense that it does have musical elements to it. I'm not sure if it's so much in the classical idea of a musical, but it's about 2 brothers. One being an amazing entrepreneur. And like very much the Instagram star, so to speak. And then one who's followed the more artistic route of becoming a musician and wanting to succeed in that arena. and both of them not really quite having the other side of the skill set, so to speak.
Yeah.
One having amazing skills to be able to sell anything, and the other having this art form that that he doesn't really know how to sort of put out there. And basically, they're given this great opportunity to work together because they go to Dubai, and the worst happens where basically they get their passports taken off them, and they're not allowed to leave the country, and they pay back their debts. Yeah. Which is actually a very real thing over there. But it sort of starts over there, and it kind of ends with the idea of, begins with the idea of them having to make him, the musician, an overnight success, basically, by manipulating every which way that we're very familiar with now, with Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and making sure that everybody knows about just how good he is or how good he can be. So it's a really, really fun opportunity to
absolutely
to put some music in a film. Yeah.
And I can see the potential for, you can have the sad song in there, but you can have the up-tempo, real happy song, and I can see it going in different directions. So I think this is a great project. But Fred, I'm just a bit jealous here because here's this project you're doing in Dubai. You've done a previous one that took you to Morocco and Casablanca, and how do you manage to score these incredible gigs? Because I'm just looking at 4 grey walls here, and there you are in these beautiful places. Come on.
At the moment, it's very much still seeing the same 4 grey walls. Maybe I've painted them a few times now, I think. So it's not too bad. But I've been really blessed, and I'm really grateful for that. But there's been tough times as well, where the opportunities don't flow, and those are the times where you've really got to knuckle down and sort of embrace. Think of it, I like to think of it as the times when you're stopping for, you're not driving, you're not going to a place, but you can still be filled with that, where can I go on this tank of petrol?
Yeah.
What can I do with it? And that's kind of, I think, where I feel, and probably a lot of Australians feel right now, can we drive anywhere? Where can we go? What's going to happen? And I kind of feel like we're all feeling that, but I just fill the tank up, man, because it's ready. We're ready to go, we can do stuff. We're ready to go back out there and do things and go back to live events and all that sort of stuff. And, whatever it is that we need to do, and we need to get together on this, on whether it's, your vaccines or your lockdowns or whatever, do what needs to do, to be safe, or whatever needs to be done. But at the same time, remember that we all want to get out of this. We all want to see our families. We all want to see our friends. We all want to meet new people. We all want to, make new friends. So, I think that's what we have to remember. That fill that tank up. Even though it might feel like it's empty right now, you can do that. You have the opportunity to do that if you want to see it that way now.
I just absolutely love your optimism, and I can feel and hear the smile in your voice as it comes down the line, and I'm just loving it. So I'm just sort of wondering, with all the events that are going through, and you've been in Melbourne for a while now in lockdown, it could inspire you to write some very dark and negative material, but I don't feel that it's doing that for you. So how are you finding the positive in your music and in your career? How are you finding that positive in this sort of really tough time that we're in?
I think it's. I'm not sure if all the stuff that I'm writing right now is positive, because some of the stuff is like I've had to almost invert myself in thinking that finding the commonality in what I'm feeling and sort of where I was, not even 6 months ago. We were outside and we were playing and we were going to concerts and listening to live music. But I think the way that I sort of get back to that is just think about what was just those small things as an artist, loves to sort of bathe in. It's what does it smell like, when walking into that, smelling the different perfumes of everyone in the, in a bar or in a club or whatever it may be, and just sort of get yourself back into that mode of going, that's coming back. That's not gone.
Yeah.
So what does that feel like? And what does it feel like to just sort of let go on the dance floor? Find those moments and find the beat, and then find the lyrics that you want to write to meet that person that you've been dying to meet, that you just haven't had a chance. How many times now have you been, for the states that have been in lockdown, how many times have you been at the at the supermarket and smelt somebody's perfume go past. Like, I haven't smelt that hardly ever. Like, nobody does themselves up. Nobody is out for those connections at the moment, but we all yearn for them, And I think that's never going to go. That's just part of who we are. Like, even if we have a partner or we have a significant other that we're married to, we still yearn for those connections and meeting people and having just fun sort of moments together. I think we all yearn for that, And I think that's what's really sort of driving me to write stuff that's like, man, we're humans and we're always gonna want to dance. We're always gonna want to cry also, but we're always gonna want to dance and we're always want to find meaning. We're always gonna want to do some sort of high five when we see each other and give each other a hug. Like, that's just part of it, And I think that's we're being told not to right now, and it is probably for the better, unfortunately. But that moment will come again, and I think like that is what is forcing me to put ink to paper or fingers to keyboards, I guess, at the moment. So I'm excited about that, and I think like the more that I can like sort of smell that perfume in the air or the sweat from people, from all of my friends dancing around me and having fun. Like that brings me back to it, man. Like it'll be there. I mean, it's been a long time, but it won't be forever.
Yeah,
and I know the kids. I know the kids are yearning for that as well, and it'll be so great when they get to do that ultimately.
Little kids and big kids as well, mate. Now, I need to ask you this too. You said your dad was a musician, so are you and he working on any songs together?
That might be down the track, yeah.
Okay.
I think there's a couple of opportunities. Yeah, he's got a beautiful archive of songs. Just in case you guys haven't heard of him before, I'm sure if you're on the dance floor back in the 70s, you might be very familiar with my dad. His name is Alston Koch, or Alston Koch, as Australians know him.
Yeah.
He did songs that were just like one of his most famous songs was called Disco Lady. And that was awesome. That was like a disco banger that everyone just loved. I think there's definitely opportunities. He's always been such an amazing performer, and I think like I get a lot of my just my love for connecting with people from him, the way he connects with audiences,
Yeah.
I'd love to get up on stage with him and do a couple of tracks, but I would love to definitely do a couple of originals as well. I think that would be really great. And I'm not sure if there's that many. I don't know if there's that many artists out there that have done that, where it's been apart from Nat King Cole and Natalie Cole.
It sounds like it's something that you need to do. You're sort of talking yourself into something that you've got to do. So I
think you've put it out there, Clayton. Cheers, mate.
Would I do that to you, mate? Would I do that to you? Come on.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea, mate. And I think that's potentially on the cards, I think.
And when you think about some of those 70s disco songs, I mean, we mentioned at the start about the groove and the bass-driven groove and all that. So it hasn't really gone that far. You've just evolved it into the modern way. So that's why I'm sort of starting to think that maybe it's time for father and son to get together and see what sort of one can learn from the other and create for something new. So the challenge is there, my friend. The challenge is there.
Okay. Challenge possibly accepted. I love disco as well, man. Like it's made such a great comeback, I think, as well. Like it's just the only thing lacking right now is dance floors, which have just become our living rooms and kitchens and bathrooms, I guess. So we'll be there. We'll be there back there.
We will indeed. We will indeed. Well, Fred, it has been fantastic chatting to you. I feel we could keep going, but we need to get folks to hear this great song of yours. Good luck with the film and everything. Good luck with all sorts of stuff, and I'm looking forward to having another chat with you. And maybe at some stage, you and your dad together would be a good chat when you're talking about the new album of modern disco hits that you've just created. I can hardly wait for it. See, I'm writing it now. I'm just picturing it all. The mirror balls. It's all there. The satin shirts. It's there. It's just it's right at your fingertips. You can bring it back for us all.
Flares, perhaps, everything, yep.
Well, I'm not so much with the flares. I think we'll draw a line there. But
they did try to make a comeback sometime in the 2000s, I think. But
Just remember that the 70s was the decade that fashion forgot. So just remember that. All right. Well, Fred, it's been great chatting to you. We've got your song here ready to go for all the Flow listeners. If you could please introduce it for us, and thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thanks so much, Clayton. Thanks for having me. Thanks for listening, guys. And this is I'm Running. My name is Fred James Koch, and I really hope you enjoy it.
Never used to speak. My life seemed so free. Didn't see what's going on. Turn the other cheek. Fought when I was weak. Hurting on my own. Watch your silhouette spread across my lonely bed. I'm in too deep. All the words unsaid are still locked inside my head, and I can't breathe. To find my love, to find my way, I gotta push through all this dark uncertainty. There's no way out that I can't see. The breath of life has just been stolen out of me. So tonight I'm ready. Thought my heart was free. What was inside me couldn't be more found. Nothing's what it seems. Reality's a dream. I'm still holding on. Life needs a duet, and I thought my life was set. How can this be? All the words unsaid are still locked inside my head, and I can't breathe. To find my love, to find my way, I gotta push through all this dark uncertainty. There's no way out that I can see. The breath of life has just been stolen out of me. So tonight I'm ready. So tonight I'm ready. Find my love, to find my way, I gotta push through all this dark uncertainty. There's no way out, no way out that I can see. I can see the breath of life has just been stolen out of me. So tonight I'm ready. So tonight I'm running. So tonight I'm running to find my love. So tonight I'm running.